So today we'll be getting into some stories involving Alexa Bliss's Lily transformation, Becky Lynch's return, and more. For today's question of the day, where do you stand at with the entire Lily transformation theory? Would you like to see it happen? So let's get into a few updates and reports regarding Alexa Bliss. Once again, not that much high quality story to talk about here for Alexa Bliss and Lily right now. But there are a few new interesting reports out there, and even new tweets from Alexa Bliss that does provide us with something to talk about, something to discuss. Alexa actually responded to a fan that asked her if we would finally see her transformation into Lily at SummerSlam. Alexa responded with a 2 eyes emoji, and that was it. Obviously, SummerSlam came and went, and there was no Lily transformation on that show. Seeing Lily come to life has been the main theory and main idea that everyone has been waiting for to see since April. Everyone thought that SummerSlam would be a great spot to make it happen. The story had lots of moments of Lily proving to Eva and Piper that she was alive. She stood on her own, winked at them, and more. So it sort of seemed like that could have been a possibility here. Also, the fact that this was one of the biggest SummerSlams of all time, with a near WrestleMania-sized crowd of 50,000 people. If they were going to pull the trigger on the Lily transformation, doesn't get much better than that. That would have been the perfect stage for it. But once again, it didn't happen. And if it didn't happen at a big stage like that, with the golden opportunity for it, then maybe it's time to let that theory go. It's not happening. But at the same time, Alexa did acknowledge that theory by quoting the fan who asked her about the Lily transformation. So it makes you think, okay, well, maybe there's a chance. Maybe it's sort of like a Funhouse Bray Wyatt. When he had light matchups, he would just wrestle as himself without the Fiend alter ego. So maybe that played a role here as well. Alexa didn't need to break out a whole evil alter ego just to defeat Eva Marie. Eva Marie isn't really a worthy opponent to debut Lily against. So that makes sense as well. Maybe it's possible that Alexa calls on Lily for a much bigger matchup against someone like Charlotte Flair with the Raw Women's Championship on the line. That's when Alexa's gonna have to dig deep and call upon Lily to really help her out with that big matchup. Charlotte doesn't go down and lose so easily, so that's why it makes sense if Lily gets brought up for someone like Charlotte. Charlotte would have an excuse if she lost to Lily. She obviously wouldn't be ready for that. But it also makes Alexa Bliss and Lily look dominant as well, if they mop the floor with someone as established as Charlotte. So for the sake of quality and direction, hopefully the feud with Eva Marie is done. It'll be nice to see Alexa Bliss maybe get involved with her old friend Nikki Cross, or possibly even Charlotte Flair. There's history there in both cases, and a lot of story to build upon, which really wasn't there for the Eva Marie feud. There's also been some reports out there, no one knows how true they are, but they claim that the fate of Alexa Bliss's character and Lily herself could all come down to merchandise sales. The reports claim that WWE is currently selling limited Lily dolls and other Alexa Bliss related merchandise. If everything sells well, the character could be sticking around for the long haul. But if it doesn't sell well, it could be bad news for Lily. So again, no one knows just how true that is, but it's worth bringing up. WWE already pulled Lily in early summer, but then changed their minds a few weeks later and brought her back again. So it looks like Lily's fate could come down to these sales, but we'll have to see just how true that is, all in due time. Becky Lynch has finally made her long-awaited return to WWE, but it is absolutely surrounded by controversy. So let's start off our timeline with August 13th. Sasha and Bianca close out SmackDown with their big contract signing for their WrestleMania rematch at SummerSlam. Less than 24 hours later, Sasha and Bianca get pulled from all live event shows throughout the weekend, and panic started to circulate. Then we get to 6 days later, the day before SmackDown. Reports were all claiming that Sasha and Bianca are cleared and ready to go for SummerSlam, which was great news at the time. Bianca appears on SmackDown, but no signs of Sasha Banks on SmackDown, which started to worry fans again. Fast forward to Sunday afternoon, and it was basically confirmed that Sasha Banks was out of the match. Reports claim that WWE was aware that Sasha Banks was going to miss SummerSlam 8 days in advance, but they decided to continue to promote the match for whatever reason. It's then announced that Sasha can't compete tonight. Carmella comes out as the fake out, and then of course we get the real surprise of Becky Lynch. Everyone was looking forward to Sasha and Bianca's rematch, but with Sasha unable to make the show, Bianca vs. Becky Lynch seemed like a great replacement. Until the bell rang, that is. The match itself lasted several seconds overall. Becky goes for the handshake, but hits Bianca, lays her out for the quick 3 count, and this is where things started to get mixed reactions from the fans. If Bianca was going to lose the title after a long fought 15 to 20 minute match, then okay, by all means. That probably would have been more acceptable. You could have said, well, Bianca wasn't prepared to face Becky Lynch, but she still went the distance with Becky. But to put Bianca down in the same fashion that Eric Rowan went down against The Rock in WrestleMania 2016 just felt weird. Maybe it's part of the story, who knows? Maybe they'll say, well, Bianca was locked in on Sasha Banks. She wasn't prepared. But it still feels strange. If you gave the option to Bianca Belair fans to decide on if she should lose to Becky in 5 seconds or 15 minutes, it's safe to assume that the majority would rather take the actual match over the squash. You're talking about a woman in Bianca Belair who doesn't get pinned that often, who just won Royal Rumble, who just made history at WrestleMania. So to see her title reign end in that Kofi Kingston kind of fashion does really sting a bit as a fan. But then again, maybe this is the story they want to tell. Maybe we even have to ask ourselves, is Becky Lynch a heel? Did she cheap shot Bianca Belair at the start of that squash? So was the quick dirty win over Bianca Belair meant to get some heat on Becky and turn the fans against her for a heel turn? Seems likely. It's also a really good question to ask because she didn't do that against a monster heel Roman Reigns sort of champion. Becky basically stole the title in a dirty fashion from a babyface champion. So is that enough to turn Becky Lynch heel? Is that what they were aiming for, or is this all just accidental? Reports also claim that Becky Lynch's return wasn't even being talked about in creative recently. But when WWE got the 8-day notice that Sasha was out of SummerSlam, it looks like that's when the conversation of Becky Lynch's return came into play. So this wasn't the original plan. Becky wasn't set to return at all during SummerSlam, but that all changed just a few weeks ago. Now you have Becky as your new champion, Bianca, who has to be enraged with that, and Sasha Banks, who signed a contract and never got her title match. So Becky Lynch has both WrestleMania main eventers on her back. It'll be interesting to see how she deals with them and if she's able to hold on to that title. But what are your thoughts on today's stories with Alexa Bliss's Lily transformation and Becky Lynch's SummerSlam return? Leave your comments, don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.